Okay, now I'm about to give y'all a chance to laugh at EmRôs. Y'all never heard how I actually sound in court as an amateur, like me not knowing. This is my first rodeo show, my child support case. This is the very last hearing that I can remember me having when them trying to come at me for, I think he was trying to get an order to compel. And this is the, I don't know if y'all heard me mention in my previous videos when I was talking about how I told him I didn't want to be called nothing but L. McKell. Hey, don't call me L. McKell, don't call me nothing else. And that's what I said to him. But this is the actual audio. And it's kind of funny now, I'm looking at it in hindsight because I'm a hell of a lot more seasoned than I was back then. But when you listen at it in hindsight, I said a whole lot of dumb shit. At the same time, I stood on what I knew was right. I knew that you trying to force me to do something I don't do. You trying to force me into a contract that I specifically, repeatedly said I don't consent to. You're not gonna force me to do some shit like that. And even you're gonna even hear in here where the so-called magic, the so-called judge, the judge surrogate is what they call him, threatened me with contempt if I didn't answer the questions of the attorney. And I just played the fifth on them. But you're gonna hear this. You're gonna hear it. So the thing is, and that's what stopped her, because she couldn't make me do anything. She stormed out of there once she made her statement to the attorney, and then she walked out. Yeah, she didn't say nothing adjourned or nothing. She just walked out. Had an attitude. So I didn't give a damn because I knew I wanted to finish. You ain't gonna make me do shit I don't want to do. I already said I don't consent. But I'm making this video pretty much to help you guys who are amateurs, complete amateurs. You don't know much about this stuff. You don't have to be trained. They know they're calling people in the game, calling people into their courtrooms that they have taken years to be trained to do. Years of training. And they've been doing it for decades. And they are so seasoned in how to do this. And they call people like us in here that don't know what the fuck we doing. And we're trying our best to fight for what we know is right, though we don't know the process. We don't know the procedures. We don't know the language of the court. We don't know that we're out there operating under Admiralty Maritime law. We don't know shit about none of the stuff they're doing. So we're doing the best we can, even though our paperwork is probably shit. You can even hear where he was complaining. The attorney was complaining about what I was filing. He was calling it frivolous. And it probably was frivolous. But at the same time, I was doing what I knew how to do. I was doing my best to try to defend myself. He who fails to assert his rights have none. So you have to assert them the best way you know how, even if you don't get the shit right. But you will come out on top if you continue to study, you continue to stand on what you know is right, okay? Now I'm gonna show y'all what I'm talking about. I'm gonna pause in between this little thing because I got some funny spots in here where I just laugh at some of the shit I said. And it was so damn dumb now that I look at it in hindsight. But I didn't get put on child support. They needed my compliance. At the end of the day, they needed my compliance in order for them to move forward and get an order put in place where they can actually lock me into this contract. So here we go.
For this hearing today, and court order into they're seeking an order compelling Mr. Grossman to respond to those interrogatories and request for production of documents. Since we've had to go to this extreme measure to file this action, we're asking for sanctions and that he be ordered to pay $500 in current fees for bringing this before the court.
This is our attorney talking right here. He's deceased now, but this is him talking. The magistrate is a female. Let's see, and if something else, oh yeah, I'm pardon the moving around. That's gonna stop after a while. I don't know why the fuck I was moving around so damn much, but it'll stop after a while and you'll hear everything a whole lot more clear. So, whole lot, anyway.
Telling you, Mr. Rose, if he is going to represent continues to file what I consider frivolous things with the court, continually comes to my office to serve these things that have no basis in law or fact. And we ask that communities file things with the court that they be of substance and not just merely things what he thinks are meritorious. And I know he's not an attorney. I understand that his goal in this matter is to simply get some type of visitation with the court, but we're asking that for this hearing today, that the court order him to do things the right way, essentially.
Okay, he was complaining. That's the part where he was complaining about me filing stuff in the paper in the court, and I was going by his office serving him like straight. I wasn't mailing nothing to him. I was taking it straight to him and had him sign off on it. He didn't want me doing that shit no more either. So I got to why I had to just mail it to him. Keep in mind, y'all, this is my first rodeo show, so I don't, I'm just learning as I go. But at the same time, everything he was saying I was filing in the court case was frivolous. And so that frivolous shit kept me on child support. But let's keep going.
My paperwork has preceded me already. This is not a general appearance, it's a special appearance. I made it very clear in my paperwork that L. McHale is the only thing I will be answering to. And I'm not representing Michael Eugene Roseman. That's a legal fiction. I made it very clear in my paperwork, and the plaintiff party continues to just disregard what my paperwork is already preceding me, and he continues to disregard the fact that this is a special appearance, continuously causing, saying that this is a pro se status when I made it very clear that I'm in propria persona. This is propria persona, and he's also, I want to make note of the affidavits that he's also acquiescence in. The affidavit of denial of U.S. citizenship, he's already agreed to it simply by not replying to it, not answering it. The affidavit of evidence of perjury, which makes it very clear that Stephanie Smith committed perjury to even get the injunction established to keep the child away from the father.
Okay. When you say somebody committing perjury, you have to prove perjury as well. I did an affidavit. I don't even know if it was a real affidavit, because a lot of time I would call this stuff affidavit and it wasn't even notarized. And it wasn't notarized. I just called it affidavit of whatever. So if you call something affidavit of truth or whatever the fuck you call it, I don't give a fuck what you call it, affidavit or whatever. If it's not notarized and it's not sworn on the penalty of perjury, it's not an affidavit. You just made a statement and called it something, but it's not. I don't even know if I did that or not. It probably was notarized. I don't know. Something I know in the beginning, I was not notarizing my stuff, and I was calling it the affidavit. And I learned basically from doing more research later on as I was going, I learned that an affidavit, I wasn't doing it properly. But I don't know if this was one of those times or not. It probably wasn't. I don't know. We'll find out. I think I did say something about something being notarized, so it probably was notarized. Hold on a second.
And the affidavit of adjudicated facts pointing out the United States Constitution of 1945 and the United States, the Georgia Constitution of 1945 and the Georgia Constitution of 1877, pointing out in 6 areas where everything all the actions that have taken place based on the actions of the plaintiff party has been completely unconstitutional. I made it very clear in the paperwork. He never answered that affidavit either. And in the affidavit, we already know that goes unanswered. It stands as judgment. And this is
judgment. Not if you're a defendant. And you hear me say something about I put some kind of motion for a default judgment or some shit like that. This shit is funny now, but you can't file for a default judgment and your person is the defendant. Anyway, I did some shit like that. Listen to me. And plus, I did used to get certified copies. I used to go to Georgia Archives. I used to drive up there, probably an hour and a half, almost 2 hours away from where I used to live. and I get certified copies of certain parts of the Constitution, and I'll file that into the court case. And I'll have paperwork attached to it. He never would respond to this type of shit because he knew what I was calling out was stuff that they both took oaths to. He never would respond to it, and I was calling that out. Judge knew that shit too. She couldn't. They notice in this, as y'all continue to listen, regardless of what kind of bucking they were trying to do, they couldn't usurp the charge. They couldn't usurp the Constitution. They were trying their best to get me to answer questions so that I can basically give in to what they needed me to do. Keep listening.
And I've already applied for a default judgment for the second time, and that has not been answered either. Instead, he sends more paperwork trying to address my person instead of granting the default judgment, agreeing with the default judgment. I filed the default judgment, the application for the default judgment on December the 29th, and here it is, February the 6th, and I've got no answer, and I've got 3 affidavits that have never been answered. So, and in the default judgment, I was requesting for my son to be returned. Also, for the record, I like to also, this is an updated version of my private counter deed certificate. I like to
Some kind of something I filed into the recording in the county recorder's office where I was kind of claiming my son. It was a picture of him and shit. It wasn't done properly whatsoever. It really was frivolous, but I recorded this shit. I tried to did I record it? I know I created some document where I was claiming. I did file it in the court case. Just a picture of my son while I was claiming him. As you know, this before I did the birth announcement. I hadn't even done about the birth announcement. I think I just heard myself say it was February the 6th. So that had to been 2017. So this is 2017. It started in 2016 in September. So this month makes 7 years I haven't seen my son. 7 years. 2017 is when this happened. So February the 6th. So obviously you hear me saying that. But some more paperwork I put together, I don't know. It wasn't proper, but I tried.
The counter deed, surprise, private counter deed,
the fuck is a counter deed? I told you I put some dumb shit in there. I know I did. But you fight for your rights. Sometimes you do some dumb shit, but it's all about they need your compliance. They need your compliance. If you give them compliance, that's how they get you. Sometimes you may not know what the fuck you're doing. Bottom line is you gotta fucking fight. You ain't got to fight. You ain't got heart to fight. You're going to get railroaded. And I was getting railroaded at first, but I didn't give them what they needed. They kept trying. That's railroad is what I call it. They kept trying. And it went on from September 2016 all the way to like June or July 2017. It went a long time. And that's every single month I was getting paperwork from her attorney. Every fucking month. And that shit used to vex the hell out of me. That's how I had them damn strokes. Here we go.
I've also submitted into the courts. This is another version just to keep the wording from being manipulated. So I had to redo it, and it's been notarized, basically killing any presumption that the state owns my son. And so so I'm basically here to address those issues. The fact that I have a default judgment answered in, David's unanswered. So I'm not here to argue about no contracts that don't exist, that will not exist. I don't consent to the contracts, and I made it very clear in my paperwork numerous of times. He just continues to send me paperwork trying to address me as the legal fiction instead of my incorporated persona status. And my status is also on the record as well. I also entered that into the courts already. So.
All right. What is your?
Who are you addressing?
I'm addressing you, sir.
Who?
Sir, just answer the question.
I won't answer any questions unless he's addressing me correctly. I will not be answering to Mr. Roseman, and I'm not answering questions as Mr. Roseman. That's a legal fiction. I made it very clear, and I'm standing on that.
I tell you, I don't be lying, y'all. This is how my shit went. He was asking me a question, and I was like, who you talking to? He's like, I'm talking to you, sir. Who is you? Who you addressing me as? You see how the judge had to intervene? She wanted me to answer the question. And I just stood on what I said. Keep listening. It's starting to get juicy now. Listen to it.
Get some respect up here before we start.
Let's get some respect up here before we start.
EmRôs, you saw the paperwork. That's who you call. That's who you had. Okay.
How do you arrive at that name?
You saw the paperwork, didn't you?
How do you get to that? How do you come up with that name? How do you derive to that name or something like that?
How do you arrive at that name?
Did you see the paperwork?
Answer the question.
You're all right. I was going to ask the court to direct him to answer the question.
All my paperwork has preceded me already. I don't have to sit here and keep on repeating myself.
Right now,
and then I will appeal it, and then we'll go to a higher court. According to the Constitution, everyone has the right to self-identify. You have the right to self-determination. I'm answering now. You cut me off. I declared my nationality actually over a year ago. I actually put another version of it actually earlier in this case, but you said, the judge herself said that she wasn't convinced. That was her words. I wasn't convinced, but so I ended up basically putting it into the courts, basically putting it on the county clerk records, and that's exactly how I ended up declaring my nationality. I had to do it on paper, and you got the documents. It's already inside the case, so.
And I probably didn't even get a certified copy and filed it into the court case. I probably recorded in there, like took a copy and filed it in there, but not a certified copy. I don't know if I did or not. That's a lot of shit I don't know if I did. But I kept fighting. I did it the best way I knew how to do it. So sometimes I'm really saying it so y'all can understand, you don't have to get it all right. You don't have to be on point with every fucking thing. When these folks know you don't know what the fuck you doing. They need to change that shit where they stop calling regular people up in the court case to play up in these court games to play their game with them so that they can run a dick up in them. That shit, they need to stop that bullshit. That's when people start raising up against that shit and making that shit where it's a crime, where for them to even attempt that shit, it actually probably is a crime because that is deception. It's deception, what they call it, swindle. Those are felonies. Okay, that's what they're trying to do. And see, at that point, I didn't even know that. I'm sitting here trying to play the game with them, but I wouldn't let them call me what they wanted to call me.
I'm not going to sit here and act like you don't know what I'm talking about. Paperwork's already in.
What is your legal birth name? And where were you born?
If you refuse to answer the question, I will find you in contempt. Asking a simple question, your legal birth name, he's not asking what your name is now. He's asking what your legal birth name was.
See, I'm asking he's asking what your legal birth name is now, your legal birth name, not the name that you're calling going by now, but your legal birth name. She's trying to get me to just go along with this nigga.
And I plead the fifth to it.
I would object as non-responsive, Your Honor.
You can't deny that. It's constitutional right.
It's a constitutional right against self-incrimination.
No, it's not. You know that.
All right, we're not doing this today.
You're right, we're not.
Game.
I'm not gonna play the game.
Withdraw your motion, your order, and I'll sign.
We will be appealing. I object to everything that you said. I object to the motion, and we will be going to a higher court. This is not going to happen.
So that's how that ended pretty much. She walked out when she said that. She told him he can write up the order and she'll sign it. He wrote up order and I rebutted it too. Everything I didn't agree with that he filed in that court case, I responded to it. I respond to everything. If I say I don't fucking consent, you're not gonna make me just consent. You're not gonna make me give you information. You're not gonna make me answer questions according to what the fuck you want me to answer the questions to say. I'm not doing that. That's what men have to fucking do when it comes to these child support cases. You don't have to do what the fuck they want you to do. They don't have authority to make you do that shit. I'm trying to tell you, y'all hear the audio yourself. Her name is Maureen Godfrey. That was the name of the judge. Tillery, his last name was Tillery. He's deceased now. He's an attorney. That was her attorney's name. Look him up. They're in Muskogee County, Georgia. I know exactly. I went through this shit, y'all. You don't have to give them folks shit. You just got to have the heart to be able to stand on what the fuck you need to stand on. You don't have to know it all. You don't have to be trained in this shit professionally. They are trained in this shit. I'm doing this because this is the kind of help you guys that are scared to fight. I was a little nervous too. Don't get me wrong. I sound calm in that motherfucker, but I had all this shit was up and going. Okay. But I knew I had to stand up for what was right. Okay. I had to face the fear. I was a little nervous, but I had a lot more courage than I had pussy going on. I couldn't walk around pussyfied about when it comes to my son. That's my baby boy. So I'm not going to say, you're not going to just make me be a debt slave to my baby. That's my son. I raise my son the way I want to raise my son. And I'm not going to let the state be something that cause me to be a debt slave to what belongs to me. It just don't make sense. I'm not going to do that. So the thing is, y'all have to come with that same energy. Because I know a lot of y'all guys, when y'all be like, I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to mess up. You gonna fuck up. That's part of learning. When you learn how to ride a bike when you were a kid, you fell off that bitch a few times. You got up, you wipe your knees off, you even skint your knees and your elbows up sometimes. But you learn how to ride a bike. And at the end of the day, your wounds heal. That's part of learning any damn thing. You're gonna fuck up. If you start a business, you're gonna suffer some losses sometimes. It's part of learning. You're not gonna get everything right all the time. When you're investing in stocks, you're gonna lose some money sometimes. It's part of life. You just gotta take the good with the bad and roll with punches. But you can't let what could happen scare you from moving forward and doing what you need to do to try to get shit done. Especially when you know what you're fighting for is right. It's the right thing to do. Hopefully y'all already liked and subscribed. Y'all see right there, I was on some bullshit. I ain't know nothing. I wasn't on no bullshit, but my knowledge was shit. I didn't know how to articulate properly, but I knew what I was saying. I knew in my heart, and my intentions. My intentions were correct. My heart was correct. I was on the right intentions, and my heart was right. Articulating it, I might have fucked up. I know I fucked up a lot of times. Even that was the third time. The third hearing. I had one other hearing after that, as a matter of fact, but that was the case I brought against her. This is the last case the case where she brought against me, the child support case. I had to bring my own case against her. And that's where I had, that was a whole different case. But I wasn't, I was trying to get my son back. Y'all not been fighting for him forever. But this is the last child support case I had to deal with right here. Okay. And this is how I handled myself. Of course, y'all see, I wasn't a pro. I wasn't very articulate. I was saying a lot of dumb shit. I wasn't saying a lot of shit correctly. If shit was wrong. But I knew my intentions were right. And they knew what my intentions were. And they couldn't usurp the Constitution. I kept talking about the Constitution. They noticed they didn't challenge none of that shit. They tried, but they create this illusion. Say, you see how she threatened me with contempt. Then I pled the fifth. She tried to see if she could manipulate that. Say, no, that's not it. She couldn't challenge it. She left it alone. And the attorney realized he couldn't get her to do nothing different. She just played the game and told him to write up the order, and I'll sign it. And then some kind of order. It was an order to compel. There wasn't no child support order. It was an order to compel. And I rebutted it too. I responded to that shit too. I didn't give a fuck who signed that shit. Okay, goddamn, the president of the United States signed it. I'm still gonna respond to it. So, because I knew the shit wasn't right, and I wasn't finna let it happen. And they never got a check stub. They never got the social. If they got it, they stole it. And I even started calling them out on identity theft for that. So, that was after this hearing. But, if I don't give it to you, you got no right to use it. You're not authorized to use it. I told you I don't consent, so you use it. It's identity theft. But anyway, you just got to have the heart to fight for what the fuck you know is right. All the goddamn to it is all it is to it. When enough men start raising up on that shit, you won't have to worry about goddamn going at women too. The one of y'all going through that shit too. If any woman that's going through that shit, this shit pertains to you too. That child support bullshit is a goddamn scam. Y'all fight for that shit. Get your and handling your shit the way you're supposed to privately. You help make the baby privately, take care of the baby privately. That's all it is to it. EmRôs signing out.